The fact that GTA runs on the PlayStation 2 is actually insane. And I'm serious, because if you think about it, it has a 36km map combined with 3 cities, a gigantic countryside, airplanes, trains, parachutes, gang wars, all running on a console from the year 2000, with a 300MHz processor and only 32MB of RAM. To give you an idea, the photo you took yesterday with your cell phone probably weighs more than the entire memory of the PlayStation 2 running the state of San Andreas. And yet Rockstar Games was able to push the console so far to its limit that it almost broke. The number one enemy of San Andreas wasn't the graphics or the physics, it was the memory. The PlayStation 2 had a very unusual and powerful design for its time, but it also had a big weakness. It only had 32MB of RAM, which is extremely small, and this created a huge challenge for game developers. In the earlier games like GTA 3 and Vice City, the world was split into smaller sections. You couldn't travel the whole map at once without some kind of hidden loading screen. That's why there were bridges or tunnels connecting different areas. Those were clever tricks to give the game time to load the next part. But San Andreas aimed to do something way better. Rockstars wanted players to drive across the entire map from Los Santos to San Fierro to Las Venturas without any loading screens at all. On paper, this shouldn't have been possible on the PS2. There simply wasn't enough memory to hold the entire world at once. So instead of loading everything, the game fakes it. The world isn't fully there all the time. It's constantly being built and erased in real time, right in front of you. This illusion is made possible by something called the Renderware streaming engine. Think of it like this. You're speeding down the road in a fast car. The game only keeps in memory what you can currently see and what you're about to see. As you move forward, it quickly removes buildings and objects behind you and loads new ones from the disk ahead of you. This happens non-stop every single second. Now, because the memory is so limited, the game has to be very aggressive. It deletes anything it thinks you don't need anymore, to make room for new data. If you've ever played the game yourself, you might have noticed that if you suddenly turn the camera around, you'd see missing buildings or blurry textures that take a moment to load properly. But the DVD is where we reach the physical breaking point. In San Andreas, it was so massive that it wouldn't fit on a standard single layer DVD. Rockstar had to use a dual layer disc, and that was very rare at the time. The problem is that reading data from a normal DVD is slow, literally. You have a physical laser that has to move across the disc to find the texture data of a tree, then jump to another part of the disc to find the sound, and then jump again to load the voice of an NPC. The PlayStation 2's laser had to jump back and forth across the disc hundreds of times per second to keep up with your driving. And this had a really bad side effect. The game broke consoles, literally. The older PlayStation 2 models, the bigger ones that were already a few years old, started to fail. The layers inside had to work so hard and make so many random reading jumps that it simply gave up. The disk read error message became the nightmare of thousands of games. Rockstars had created a software so demanding that the physical hardware couldn't keep up without breaking down. But let's return to memory, because this is where engineering truly gets creative. Since they couldn't carry everything, they had to sacrifice a lot. I don't know if you've ever noticed that when you drive a sports car, suddenly all the cars you see on the street are also sports cars. Or why is it that if you drive a taxi, you only see other taxis? Many thought this was a bug, but it wasn't. It was a RAM survival trick. The game has a strict limit on how many different car models it could load at the same time. Let's say that limit is 5 unique models. If you drive a sports car, that model is already taking up space in your memory. To save resources, the game said, well, I already have the texture, so I'm going to make all the cars in the traffic the same car from the one I already have loaded. That's why the traffic in San Andreas sometimes felt so repetitive. This was the price to pay for not having loading screens. But the same thing happened with NPCs. The game had a list of generic actors for each area. If you entered a gang-controlled neighborhood, the game would load 3 gang member models into the memory and repeat them. And it did this everywhere using slight color variations. And this wasn't laziness, it was resource management. Every texture took up space, so they had to compromise and reuse models. And speaking of textures, let's talk about how the game looks. San Andreas on the PS2 has a very warm orange sky with a constant heat haze. Many will probably remember this with nostalgia, but that orange haze in Los Santos isn't just there to make it feel like Los Angeles on a summer day. It's there to cover up the fact that buildings 3 blocks away just haven't loaded yet. The draw distance, which is how far you can see before the world disappears, was very short on the PS2. If the game actually showed you the horizon as it is, you'd see the end of the world, an abrupt hard cut where the map simply ceases to exist. So to hide this, Rockstar used atmosphere effects. But then there's the issue of the characters. In previous games the characters had the same model throughout the whole game. In San Andreas, CJ could gain weight, become muscular or lose weight. This meant the model had to constantly reform, which consumed a big amount of processor data. So again, sacrifices had to be made. The facial animations in the game are very basic, because there simply wasn't enough memory. The cutscenes used slightly better models, but during gameplay the faces were almost plain masks. The programmers of this game used genius techniques to get the most out of the limitations they had. But when you play the remastered version today, or the PC or mobile versions, many of these limitations no longer exist. But funny enough, by removing these limitations, the game sometimes looks worse. Without the orange fog around the distant buildings, the map seems small and empty. The atmosphere of San Andreas on the PS2 was kind of the aesthetic of the game. Now, despite its limitations, GTA San Andreas became the most popular and best-selling game on the PS2. So what do you guys think of this game? Let me know it in the comments down below. Now this was it for today's video guys. Subscribing will be appreciated. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one.